Hey, EBT users, brace yourselves. A massive wave of changes is hitting the SNAP program, and most of it's flying under the radar. There's good news, bad news, and potential chaos all at once. And most people aren't talking about it, not because it's not important, but because it's coming from so many different directions that it's really hard to track. That's why I've done the digging for you so that you don't have to. From new rules and benefit deadlines to card failures and food bans, I'm going to break down exactly what's changing right now and what it means for you. And just so you know, it's not all bad news today. Some new benefits are being rolled out. One could give families $120 per child, and another might double your food budget. I'll walk you through those a little bit later. But first, I just want to ask, have you noticed any issues with your EBT card recently? Drop a quick yes or no in the comments because we're hearing more and more reports of glitches and thefts and delays, and I'm worried about you. Now, I'm sure you've probably heard talk before about states trying to ban certain foods from SNAP, right? We've talked about it a lot here on this channel, and for years it never went anywhere. In fact, in previous videos, I told you not to worry about it because the USDA has always blocked those efforts. But that just changed in a big way. In late March, the Health and Human Services Secretary made headlines when he said that states could now apply to ban soda purchases with SNAP. This was first reported by the New York Times and Civil Eats. But here's the thing, the HHS secretary doesn't technically run the SNAP program, but during that same announcement, a White House advisor said that USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins was also on board. She's the one with the final say, and now she's signaling support to approve these waivers for the first time ever. So let that sink in. For the first time ever in SNAP history, states may actually be allowed to block what you can buy. And some states are wasting no time getting those changes done. Idaho's state legislature just passed a law that would ban SNAP from covering soda and candy. This ban would take effect July 1st, and it requires their state government to ask the USDA for permission to do this. And if the USDA says no, it requires the state to ask again every single year. Texas passed a similar bill in its Senate. Their version goes even farther, banning energy drinks, cookies, chips, and other processed snacks. If it clears the House and gets signed by the governor and approved by the USDA, that law would take effect in September. Now, Louisiana, Arizona, Iowa, Kansas, Utah, and Tennessee are all drafting and working on similar bills right now, and other states have signaled their intent to get on board with these changes too. So here's the truth. Even if your state isn't on that list yet, it could be next. And this isn't just about soda or chips, right? It's about control. Let's be real, not everyone using SNAP makes perfect grocery choices. But that's not because they don't care. It's usually because they're exhausted or disabled or juggling two jobs or just trying to get through the store before the baby starts crying. Most folks aren't choosing junk because they want to. They're choosing it because it's cheap, easy, shelf-stable, and sometimes it's all that fits into the chaos of a busy life. So when lawmakers start deciding what you can and can't buy, it might sound good on paper, but it often misses the messy, complicated reality that low-income families are dealing with every single day. And that's why this matters for everyone. Even if it hasn't hit your state yet, if these waivers start getting approved, you can be sure that more restrictions will be coming. The system could shift fast because once it starts, it's really hard to stop. And unfortunately, it's not just about what you're allowed to buy either. It's also about who is allowed to get help at all. And the list is getting shorter. For several weeks now, the administration has been focused on cutting taxpayer support for immigrants, especially when it comes to food benefits. The Food and Nutrition Service got right to work implementing changes and policy reviews. Recently, the government went a step farther and announced that thousands of immigrants who were eligible for SNAP will lose that protection on April 24th of this year. Those people will be kicked off of the program at their next recertification. But it's not just immigrants that are being targeted either. There's another movement pushing restrictions on working-age SNAP recipients as well. Several states are starting to enforce or expand work requirements. Some federal lawmakers are working on it too. And of course, the problem with that is that a lot of people who want to work still can't. They may be disabled but not yet approved for disability benefits. They may be caregivers. In some cases, they may not have access to consistent transportation or have jobs available that meet those hourly requirements. This isn't about laziness, it's life. But between new bans, removals, and stricter rules, the safety net is getting tighter and harder to hold on to. But for those of you who will still be eligible for SNAP benefits, there is some good news at least. The USDA is demanding that states move faster in approving those benefits and getting that money into the hands of those who qualify. Right now, more than half of all states are failing to process applications on time. And for families in crisis, that delay can mean going hungry. So this month, the USDA sent a very blunt message to state governments. Get it together or we'll intervene. They're demanding that states follow the law, which says that SNAP applications must be processed in 30 days or within 7 days for urgent needs cases. And for people reapplying, benefits have to be delivered without delay. Now, if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you know that's not happening. There are tremendous delays all across the country. So here's what's interesting. To fix these delays, the USDA is encouraging states to adopt automation tools, things like AI systems, bots, and chat assistants that can help manage paperwork and reduce those backlogs. Some states, like Georgia, Kentucky, and New Mexico, are already using bots to pre-process renewals or answer case status questions. In some cases, AI even flags missing documents or scans forms automatically. And honestly, if this tech gets people their benefits faster without hurting customer service or access, that's a good thing. But we have to watch carefully because when AI enters the equation, there's always a risk of errors, bias, or people falling through the cracks. This could be a step forward if it's done with oversight and empathy, though. And the accountability push doesn't just stop with state agencies either. Now the USDA is also cracking down on retailers as well. Recently, the agency reminded stores that accept SNAP that they are being watched, and some are already under investigation for breaking the rules. Stores that overcharge, sell ineligible items, or even trade benefits for cash are facing suspensions, fines, and even criminal charges. And of course, here's the twist. When a store gets caught, the USDA says it will now notify other stores in the area so no one thinks they can fly under the radar here. So if your local store suddenly stops accepting EBT, this could potentially be a reason why. Now, a lot of this may sound great, right? Accountability, faster processing, better fraud protection. But let's be honest, right? Government promises don't always play out the way that they're supposed to. Take the new chipped EBT cards that are being rolled out in California, for example. They're meant to fight fraud and modernize the system, but some users are already running into problems. One viewer told us that their chipped card wouldn't read at the checkout, so the cashier ended up swiping it, just like normal, and then typing the number in manually, which, let's be honest, doesn't exactly feel secure. When I reached out to the USDA about this, they told me that the chip should always be used first, but if it doesn't work, you can swipe it or use manual entry as a last resort. But that doesn't really fix the problem of the fraud, right? And that's really frustrating to me because I've been reporting for years about these skyrocketing rates of fraud that are happening through that magnetic stripe and the manual entry systems. I understand that they're in a delicate situation right now because not every store has upgraded their systems to accept those chipped cards, but this is really not feeling that secure. In fact, several fraud investigators in California told NBC News that the chipped cards are using technology that's 20 years behind current standards, and that they're still vulnerable because they retain the same magnetic strips that skimmers can read. And of course, this isn't just affecting California either, because Ohio is preparing to roll out chipped EBT cards and expand work requirements and a bunch of things in their latest budget bill. A lot of states were turning to chipped EBT cards as a solution, but it's starting to feel like those changes are too little, too late, and that they're not actually going to do what we expected them to do. And that's very concerning. And of course, that's not all. The Institute of Museum and Library Services, which is the federal agency that funds and oversees the Museums for All program, just had its entire staff cut. This isn't directly an EBT cut, but it does mean that the future of those EBT discounts that we report on is uncertain. Those discounts made educational spaces more accessible to low-income families, so this could impact a lot of people. Now, to be clear, some museums and cultural sites offer independent discounts outside of the Museums for All program. There are actually a lot of distinctly different programs that coordinate these, which is why our website, lowincomerelief.com, is the only place where you can find all of those lists in one together. So not every discount is likely to disappear here, but without federal support, it's hard to say what will happen next. So if your local museum offers a discount, this might be a good time to double check whether they're continuing with that, and be sure to let us know what you find out. We will be updating our lists as the situation progresses, but right now everything is just very uncertain. Anyway, you can always find our list at lowincomerelief.com if you'd like to check that out. But like I promised, it's not all bad news today. If you've made it this far, I'm happy to report that there are some things that might actually help you get more money in your food budget this month. We're heading into double up season when many states offer programs that match your SNAP dollars at farmers markets or select grocery stores. That means if you spend $10 from your EBT card on fresh produce, you could get $10 more for free. If your state participates, this could literally double your food budget starting now. This is part of the SNAP Healthy Incentives Program, and I'm hopeful that this program will remain operational despite all of the Make America Healthy Again cuts because, well, it's really effective and it's getting people to buy healthier food with their benefits. So check out our website to see if there's a market or a store in your area that participates, because this can make a big difference in your budget. And of course, families with school-aged kids could be getting an extra $120 per child this summer in some areas. But deadlines are already here in some states. In Michigan, many school districts require you to get your application done by April 15th if you want to receive those benefits in the first issuance in May. Families should be automatically enrolled in this program, but again, that's for Michigan, and this program does exist in many different areas, and those dates may vary. Now, you should be automatically enrolled in Sunbucks if you're already enrolled in SNAP, TANF, FDPIR, so on and so forth, but it's important to check with your school and make sure that you don't need to fill out an application to get those benefits. You do not want them to be late. Now, I recommend contacting them right away just to make sure because some of those areas do have April 15th deadlines. And finally, one last piece of good news for you. There is a new bill in Congress called the Hunger-Free Future Act, which would help protect SNAP from last-minute budget cuts during the budget reconciliation process, which is kind of a shortcut that Congress uses. Now, if this bill is passed, it would make it harder for lawmakers to make cuts to this program. So reach out to your lawmakers, share your story, and let them know that SNAP matters and that they should support this bill. And don't forget to check out our other videos for more ways to save money and get free stuff.